All right, now Ethereum's on the move and altcoin season has almost been confirmed, but which coins should we get into? Well, what about the Ethereum ecosystem? Do you think that would work? Because now it looks like Ethereum is outgaining Bitcoin in strength, right? Look at this, right? Wouldn't it make sense to get into the Ethereum ecosystem? And see, today is kind of a strange day because we've had Bitcoin being weak and Ethereum being strong the last few days, right? And yet ETH ran to 4,200, 300 even. And now look at this. Now Bitcoin's being strong and Ethereum is pulling back. Why is this happening? You might think, oh, that's not a big deal, 1.76, 0.71, but everything is pretty much predicted by this chart right here. This is the ETH versus Bitcoin chart. As soon as it hit this level, 0.0365, as I've been warning about, wrote about this in my Discord and made videos on this 2 days ago, and then we hit that and then we pull back. So that means then Bitcoin gains against ETH. So Bitcoin gains and ETH pulls back. So therefore, I think this is only temporary to see Bitcoin showing strength over ETH. We do a pullback, probably not much for a couple of days, 3-4 days, right? Bull flag, and then we break out again. So folks might remember, and by the way, today's episode is going to be more about the ETH ecosystem with my last episode about the ETH treasury stocks. So these are the ways that I'm playing this ETH breakout. I've been talking about it in the ETH bull run for a long time. In fact, I was expecting ETH to make a bull run like 6 months ago, right? And ETH took a dump. Now, for folks who've been watching my videos, for folks who are in my Discord, we've been buying the ETH ecosystem and we've just been holding. And now ETH is making a move. Today, I'll examine if the ETH ecosystem is going to make a move or not. Why or why not? Which coins? And then on top of that, basically, let's have a look at also the way I play ETH is through Ethereum treasury companies, such as, how you have MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet for Bitcoin, right? They've gone up 50x, whilst Bitcoin has only been up 7.5, 8x max this cycle so far. So I spoke about a bunch of those Ethereum treasury stocks in my last episode. Today, I'm going to look at the Ethereum ecosystem. Today is a good day to look at it because ETH is down today and a lot of altcoins are following it. So we can see that a lot of altcoins are down, right? But we can see where the strength is. See here, Lido, right? Pretty strong. And that we're going to get onto that. That's pretty obvious. Link is, I guess you can kind of call it an ETH ecosystem coin, right? Even though it's very much cross-chain, right? Very much cross-chain. And then we can see a number of those ETH coins still staying strong. Sushi and Uni were just green like a second ago when I was watching it. It's pretty much at zero right now, just barely going into negative territory. Okay, so look, have a look at this. For folks who remember this chart is basically everything alongside the Bitcoin dominance. We're about to close on the weekly chart here, and this is 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon US time, and we're just coming to the close, and this is without any big drops in ETH, this is a very strong close. We got rejected at 0.036, but that's a very strong candle. Only a 2-week rest here. It's getting faster and faster. Look at this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're still inside this bull flag range. 9 weeks of rest, boom. 1 candle up, 2 weeks of rest, then boom. So as I had been saying before, because we're in the blow off top stage of the cycle now, I'm expecting like 1 or 2 weeks of pullback, right? And we might see that on Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin is now in the 3rd week of pullback, so it's breaking up now. So folks who have been watching these videos of mine, folks in my Discord, should remember that back on April 21st, when I saw this, I said, this is the bottom candle of ETH versus Bitcoin. Not many people believed me back then because 1, this is a bottoming tail, and 2, Not just because of the bottoming tail, but because this is near the historical bottom, here, double bottom here, right? 0.017. I said, hey, look, we're going up from here, right? I'm prepared to call a bottom here, right? Bunch of videos, bunch of tweets I can show you guys, and a bunch of messages in my Discord where I call the bottom here, and then so the eventual target, I don't know if it stops here, but you can see this would be a strong resistance somewhere around here, 0.054. And that's because we've had, look, pivot top, pivot bottom, pivot top, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, right? And all these fluctuations right here. This is kind of like Bitcoin around 30K, right? It's basically the bull-bear divide. It'd be pretty good if ETH can just get here. That's still a big run left in ETH. With Bitcoin dominance, now here's the thing to watch as we close this out on the Sunday, right? See here, we don't want this candle, green candle, to turn into a bearish, a bullish divergence. Now, what do I mean by that? Before we answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are. So that means, of course, the IRS can't see you, tax office can't see you, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, right? Pablo's made this deal with them and get 20% bonus just by depositing. Deposit $100, get 20 USDT. Deposit 1,000 USDT, get 200 USDT futures bonus. And just by trading volume, get up to $18,000 in prizes. Okay, limited time only, folks. Limited time only. This offer finishes literally tomorrow on the 12th of August. Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then the link is in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, and here's my Stan link or Linktree, right, on my bio page, and there it is. That's the deal. But let's get back to the markets, folks. But remember, this deal is only on the Pablo link. Okay, let's go. So for Bitcoin here, we had this breakout. We really don't want breakdown. We really don't want this to be a fake out. So we really don't want this chart to close above 60.55. If it closes above 60.55, then we get what's called a bullish reversal. It means basically all of this bearish momentum got reversed in one day, and then up we go. So far, if we close down here, right, 60.39, 60.4, that's fine, because that's kind of like a retest of the previous low where we broke out from. Retest, maybe even wick above a little bit, maybe even wick to this bear flag area, although I wouldn't want to see that, and then break down. That would be great. So just to give folks another picture of how this looks, this is what it looks like on the weekly chart. And this is why I've been calling for a altcoin season around here in early May, late April. I said it's better to buy here, right, rather than here when it's confirmed, and then by then your favorite altcoins are already up 3x or 5x. And like we saw with Ethereum right now, it's already up 3x from the bottom. So it was much better to get in back in April. That has been my call for all this time. So look at this. Basically, we are now, if we go for a breakdown, here's it, how I see it. Let's try to apply a Fibonacci series to this. We go 1, 2, then 3. On the way down, 3. Where do we see 3 stopping at? Somewhere like here. 3, around 48%. Oh, actually, okay. Around here. Let's call it 52%. The reason why is this. Let me enlarge that. Right. So, reason why is because, see, this is a very heavy area, 52%, 52.8%, very heavy area of support and then resistance. So we've had 1, 2, 3 down to 52, 4 pull back somewhere like here, 57. Hopefully we don't go that far. And then finally, fifth leg around 41, 42. Why do I say 41? We may not get there, but look, this is basically connects the bottom of the Bitcoin dominance of both 2017 bull run and 2021 bull run. And the reason why I called this top at 65, 66% area, right, is because, for it to turn down, is because we're connecting the top of the Bitcoin dominance from 2017 and once again 2021. So there's a chance we get there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay, to bear in mind, if we had that over the next 2-3 months, with a top in September to October, September to November, it will be a massive bull run. But not every coin's going to run, so hey, keep that in mind. So now let's have a look at some of the Ethereum ecosystem coins. For example, let's have a look at Lido. Okay, Lido is basically the most used and the number one liquid staking coin on platform on Bitcoin, on Ethereum. And the reason why, okay, so first of all, we can see Lido is still kind of near the bottom, right? And the reason why, but if we look at it on the daily, it's been going up and it's breaking into new highs. The reason for that, there are a number of reasons. One of the strong reasons for this is they do what's called liquid staking, which means basically you don't have to lock your coins in. It's liquid. You stake your ETH, but then you get what's called, they give you another coin called staked ETH. ST, small caps, ST, ETH. Staked ETH, and you can use that, and you can go on and stake it somewhere else. And that's a thing they call rehypothecation, but we won't bother with these technical aspects and how bad that is in real life. But anyways, it's all pumponomics. So the more ETH rises, the more people want to stake. When they stake, they don't want to lock their coins in. They want liquid staking. That's why Lido, as the largest platform, people think it's safe. People think it's reliable, and even some institutions might think about locking up their ETH, depositing with them. So that's why it has been doing this, right, making a new high. So it's an obvious choice for Wall Street, who likes the staking part, because they love to get yields. Now overall, it's still quite low. Has barely broken this 140 area yet, and we can see the major bottoms here. So this is $1.40 is kind of like still the bull bear divide here, right? Kind of like Bitcoin at 30K. Below 30, it's bear market. Above 30, we're in a bull market. Kind of same thing here, right? Once we break above, then the resistance 1.9 and 2.8-ish area, and it's the problem with Lido is that it's already quite huge. It's like from memory, it's like 8 billion or something, right? So that's the only downside I see with Lido. Another one that I talk about a lot is ENS. ENS is down slightly today, but I'll tell you the reason why. It's actually quite bullish. Now, ENS, basically, I've spoken about this before, is where everyone gets assigned an identity. Ethereum naming systems, as it's called, and Vitalik Buterin himself has plugged it a number of times. Now, if you think that crypto is going mainstream and basically stable coins are going to be paid to everyone and stable coins are going to become so popular, even Trump's coming out of his own stablecoin called USD1. If that's the case, then obviously the American government, Chinese government, Australian government, nobody, EU government, nobody wants to see you just making huge banking transactions or crypto stablecoin transactions right around the world where they don't know who you are. So Ethereum naming services helps to identify those transactions, and Ethereum gives you Ethereum addresses with names on it, right? Like, for example, larryfink.eth or Donald Trump.eth, right? So this is something that I think they would adopt, and it's responded in price as well. It's had a 2.5x run up from the April bottom so far. But the reason why it's pulling back today, because it's hit this major resistance, right? Major resistance. Look, it's basically bouncing off this resistance, broke down, and now we're trying to break upwards again. I think sooner or later, right? If we hold this 28, let's call it 28.0 area, and then the resistance around $33 area, I think eventually you'll break through and basically challenge the highs at around $50. Right now, it's basically having, look, 4 weeks hitting this rooftop here at 31 and trying to break through. I think it'll come. After 50, we can have a run at all-time high of $82. This is one of the coins that I've spoken for the longest time. So another one to keep an eye out on are the two swaps, Uniswap and SushiSwap. Now, okay, SushiSwap's turned green now, as we can see. Uniswap almost green. So it's gone from $4.77 to $11. So basically just over 2x here. And look at this. It's basically bouncing off the bottom, almost gave everyone a heart attack, almost broke down here, right? Closed for 3 or 4 weeks below the major key support level from the day launch. So but then ripped it back up, and it was a fake out. So the reason why Uniswap and SushiSwap are not as bullish, look, I still think they can make a big run, but they're not going to be the most obvious choices compared to, say, ENS or Lido in the Ethereum ecosystem, is because this entire move is driven by Donald Trump and Wall Street, right? And Wall Street, I can see them doing staking or liquid staking. I can definitely see them doing ENS or Ethereum naming systems to identify, ID every transaction on chain. But what I can't see them, Wall Street, coming to use Uniswap and SushiSwap, because Uniswap and SushiSwap are coins that may or may not be securities that are not listed on the New York Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq. It's basically trading things that are like securities, or you can call them commodities, and they basically lots of meme coins, lots of shit coins, and that's just not something that Wall Street wants to do. Eventually, I think when ETH is hot enough, I think, of course, Uni and Sushi can have a run, but the reason for them to run is not as obvious. Not as obvious as Lido and ENS. But I do think they're going to have a run later in the... we just have to be a little bit more patient. They already made a 2x. They're just going to have a run a little bit later. So... This is kind of the $9 area, kind of the bull bear divide, as we can see right here, right? This was major pivot top, right? And pivot bottom, pivot top, a number of these. So Uni's actually looking good. I do expect it to hit the next major resistance, which is around 14.7, let's call it, around 14.7, 15 area. And I do expect it to break through, then $20, and then $28. Let's have a look at Sushi. Sushi's much, much smaller than Uniswap, even though it's the number 2 coin in the ecosystem for DEXs, decentralized exchanges. It's gone from 50 cents to $1. Again, a 2x move. So, and we can see that it's still bouncing around near the bottom. And this is basically, this $1 area is basically the bull bear divide. Look, this is pivot bottom, right? Pivot bottom, pivot bottom, pivot bottom, right? Pivot top, pivot top. So basically, it's still just underneath. And not only is this $1 the pivotal area, but also look at this diagonal trend line, right? So I think it's key for sushi to break through this area, to break this through this dollar area. Then we would break the horizontal $1 resistance, and also this red trend line that has lasted basically throughout the entire trading history of Sushi Swap. Once we break through, then I think we very quickly should, well, there's some resistance at $1.40, but we should very quickly get to $2. And then, yeah, major resistance at $2.80, right? You can see pivot top, pivot bottom here, and then major resistance at $5. Yeah. So, okay, I'll give folks more updates as we move along, but of course, ETH ecosystem is probably going to move a little bit slower, depending on the coin, than say those ETH treasury stocks. That's why I made the video on them first yesterday, and then on the ETH ecosystem today. But thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next episode.